Okay, so now I need some energy. I know I got it, but I need some energy. I need y'all to send me some energy. So I asked for some energy. It didn't get lighter, but the rain didn't get harder. Energy sent. There was a response. On the way back, presented 2 days in a row. I'm tired. I already know I'm tired. I don't want to hit any place that's less than home when it gets dark because the vision is not the best at night. All right, y'all. In the WhatsApp, send me some energy. I was told it was done. At the time that I asked for the energy, I believed that I was going to receive it. That's the truth. The truth is we get what we ask for. I asked for it in my head, which is my heart and my mind. The most amazing thing happened. All of a sudden, where it had been all gray and stuff, and anybody who's in that Moorish WhatsApp, in our Temple 12 WhatsApp, know I said this. What happened then was the sun came out. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, the sun came out. All I could say was, Islam, I'm headed home. I got that energy. And it was the most amazing thing. Because it wasn't no sun nowhere. It was all clouds. But that's the truth. That's the truth that I live in. And I give these examples because that's living in the truth. Last Friday, well, a couple of days ago, I went to Columbus. A few good things have happened, quite a few good things happen every day. But I went to Columbus, I'm sitting down, and I was nominated for the Nurse of the Year Awards for American Dimes and for the state of Ohio. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, I got nominated, I'm a finalist. First of all, I didn't even know it existed. I don't know a lot of things exist. I do what I do because I live in the truth. And the truth is, that's what we all should be doing. All of a sudden, they start describing this person. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, that sounds like me. Nah, it can't be me because I don't do anything that's special. I don't do anything spectacular. That sounds like me. Nah, it can't be me. All of a sudden they said, and she is a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and she is a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and she is the immediate past president of Zeta Theta chapter of the International Irish Society of Nurses. Who else is in here that is like that? Because I ain't did nothing special. Except that a lot of people don't live in the truth. And the truth is, every day, people should just be able to see you for you and see that spirit inside you. Islam? Comments? Thoughts?
One thing that you said earlier, I just want to emphasize that point about the tribe and everything that you illustrated it perfectly. The beginning question was, what are you doing as more? And my theme that I've been on is knowing who you are. Know who you are. Know who your ancient forefathers and foremothers truly were. And when you begin to get that knowledge, you just said it again, many people don't live in the truth. A lot of people don't because they don't know the truth about themselves. And on calling upon energy specifically, when you really get into this, it is very simple. It is not difficult. Study the Quran, study the bylaws, and what's the thing? He was telling Emil what to study. Bylaws.
Well, it's the bylaws, the divine constitutional bylaws, the Quran, and the questionnaires.
Yes. Study those three things, and you will become a person who has access to their superpowers. That's what I call them, the energies that are all around us all the time. That's what we need to be doing. And when you come across somebody and you kind of feel that spark, just share a little bit of yours with them, and it'll ignite theirs. That's what I believe we need to be doing. Nothing, don't hit people over the head and nothing like that. In love, share with them who they are.
Islam. Sharing is caring, right?
Yeah, every time.
Every time.
Islam.
Yes, sir.
In response to what you were saying comments. It's in chapter 7, of our Holy Quran, and it's verse 9. It says, Allah never made a heaven for man. He never made a hell. We are creators, and we make our own. You know, so in response to what you were saying, we create that situation of living our life. Or in reverse, we create a situation where we don't live our life, we live society, and we live in hell. So we create our own hell, or we create our own success. Such as you saying, who is this in here? You know, you don't feel like you've done nothing spectacular. I just done me. Right. And in return, people say, man, how do you do all of that stuff? Why do you just speak? That's just me. I feel like doing it. I want to do it. I get it done. So when you get it done. Islam.
Islam. Those who have always been blessed have always been able to shine that ray of light back upon those who are not, which is uplifting. So it's kind of like what the sun does to gardens, plants, you know. And as I hear you speak, and you say, well, who is this? Or that doesn't sound like me. When you're not a selfish person, and once again, this movement is about love, and you have to deal with all different type of nationalities. And that's beautiful when you can sit here and just more than sit down and break bread with your own people. Because that's what we're supposed to, because what? God is what? Love. Allah is love. So as long as you out there doing what you have to do, you see, you're not a beacon. You're not out there just blinking, okay? Darkness couldn't comprehend light. There's none of us sitting here walking around in darkness. We have the knowledge that Allah has given us, and we're sharing it. Whether it's through people coming here to this temple, whether we're online, on YouTube, doing what we have to do. I've said it many times before. I didn't choose to do this work. If it was left up to me, I wouldn't be doing it. It was put on me by a divine power that I couldn't say no to. So when I walk out of here and I have to talk to people and say things to people, I have to keep in mind what my prophet had to go through. And I've said it many a times. How do you teach and talk to people if you can't read, you can't write? So I had to take it upon myself to say, I'm in a different time period. People are more educated. They just don't know who they are. Like you said, knowledge of knowing yourself. And once you understand yourself and know who you are, the whole world will answer to you. Islam. So yeah, just keep doing what you have to do.
Islam. Doing what's there for us to do is amazing. Sometimes it can be exhausting work, but you don't really realize you're exhausted until you realize you're exhausted. And that's what's so amazing. So to tie this thing back to some words from the prophet, you know, I grew up in a Southern Baptist church. I've gone to Pentecostal churches. I've been a member of a spiritualist. I've done all kinds of things. And some of y'all know that me coming to the Morris Science Temple of America was a little bit rocky. That's what we're going to call it. As I resisted. I had every intention of resisting because of what I thought that Islam was and what I thought it stood for. So in order to discuss that and open it up so that more people are aware of what it actually means, especially in the face of what we see all the time. We have extremists, but there's extremists in everything. More extreme Christians have killed people than extreme anything else. The spotlight is now on Muslims and Islam. And the spotlight is there due to renegades, due to people who are not practicing what the faith actually is. So what's the faith? Islam is a very simple faith. It requires man to recognize his duties towards God Allah, his creator, and his fellow creatures. It teaches the supreme duty of living at peace with one's surroundings. It is preeminently the religion of peace. The very name Islam means peace. The goal of a man's life, according to Islam, is peace with everything, peace with Allah, and peace with man. The Quran, the holy book of Islam, tells us that the final abode of man is the house of peace, where no vain word or simple discourse will be heard. The holy divine prophet, Noble Drali, says that a follower of Islam is the true sense of the word, in whose hands, tongue, and thoughts do not hurt others. The object of a man's life, according to Islam, is its complete unfoldment. Islam teaches that man is born with unlimited capacities for progress. Islam does not support the idea that man is born in sin. It teaches that everyone has within him the seed of perfect development, and it rests solely with himself to make his mark his fortune. The cardinal doctrine of Islam is the unity of the Father Allah. We believe in one God, Allah, who is all God, all mercy, and all power. He is perfect and holy, all wisdom, all knowledge, and all truth. These are some of his great attributes, so far as we can understand. He is free from all defects, holy and transcendent. He is personal to us, insofar as we see his attributes working for us and in us. But he is nevertheless impersonal, because he is infinite, perfect, and holy. We do not believe that death, decay, or sleep overtake him. Neither do we believe that he is a helplessly inactive and inert force. Nothing happens without his knowledge and will. He neither begets nor is he begotten, because these are all trails of frail and weak humanity. This unity of Allah is the first and foremost pillar of Islam, and every other belief hangs upon it. Islam? What can one say to that? That's like everything. Yeah, you're right, Islam. That's all you can say, because that right there is everything. And I've heard our grand governor say this many times. These people who are doing these wicked things are not practicing Islam, because that's not of Allah. And that's the truth that we have to not just spread by words, but let it show through our actions and deeds. Islam? And in the beginning, you might have to think about it a little bit. In the middle, you still might have to think about it a little bit, because the tongue can be swift and it can cut people off, and I just don't want to do it, so I ain't gonna do it, and all kinds of stuff. And then you realize, as you train your mind to think differently, and there's a theory called Gestalt. Gestalt has positive behaviors, positive thought process. I consider myself a Gestaltist by nature for a very long time, because I focus on the positive aspects of psychology. I ran across them probably, I don't think it was in my undergraduate program, it could have been. If not, met them again during my graduate program, my doctoral program, to get my PsyD. And I kept thinking, you just feel so much better when you think about the positive side of something. When you think about, that person made that decision, but I don't have to allow it to make me feel any kind of way at all. And when you don't harness that power, if that power doesn't live in you, the power that somebody else did something and it has an impact on you, you feel better and people see it and things change. Islam? It's the most amazing thing. I'm telling you, most amazing thing. As I look out there, I'm so excited right now. So many people here. I'm loving this. I'm so excited. People, I feel like I haven't seen people in a really, really long time. And I was only gone for a week, but it feels like it's been months. And it feels really, really good.
Islam, then y'all should take her home, man.
You be sitting on your doorstep. Sitting on your doorstep. So, and then I want to, we talked about the Quran. I haven't read a whole lot out of the Quran. But all of this takes me back to those words that are over there on that board and how they all tie together. So we're at the last one, which is social duties. Chapter 30, XXX, 29 to 39, gives holy instructions from the prophet about social duties. When thou considerest thy wants, when thou beholdest thy imperfections, acknowledge his goodness. O son of humanity, who honored thee with humanity, endowed thee with speech, and placed thee in society to receive and confer reciprocal helps and mutual obligations, protection from injuries, thy enjoyments of the comforts and the pleasures of life. All these thou owest to the assistance of others, and couldst not enjoy, but in the bands of society. It is thy duty, therefore, to be a friend to mankind, as it is thy interest that man should be friendly to thee. As the rose breatheth sweetness from its own nature, So the heart of a benevolent man produces good work. Thoughts? What does that say to you? We don't do anything by ourselves.
Boy, it's not. Somebody in here gonna be able to speak up. You're all quiet. Come on. Don't be afraid to speak up and ask questions.
My cheerleader.
I don't want my grand governor or supreme.
I challenge you to think about it this way. So, you know, a lot of times we're like, oh, I had to do this. I did this by myself. I did that by myself. I got to here. I got to there. It was really hard. I mean, you know, at one time I was a single mom. I did that all by myself. That's not true. That's like the biggest load of, hello. That's the biggest load of, I don't know what you want to call it, that anybody can ever tell themselves. There is not one person on this entire planet that did everything for themselves by themselves. Who made your shoes? Who made your clothes? How'd you get a job? How'd you get here? I challenge you every time you want to say, well, I did it myself. I did it by myself. To think about how that can't possibly be true. And think about how selfish that actually sounds and how it doesn't work as we live through love, show love, and help try to build up society. Islam?
Islam.
You look like you want to say something, Grand Governor.
Islam. The law says to us that that we all are tied by bonds. We all are tied together in a way that everything works off of everything else. So this is why the order of peace is so critical to the way we live our life. If everything is tied together, then peace is paramount. So like when you was using the word Islam, the word actually translates into not just a, it's not a noun. When you use the word Islam, it's not a noun. It's an actual word of action. And it's command you to be at peace. But what are we talking to when we command in Islam? We command in a way of life. Because Islam is a way of life. If you look at education in a sense, so we can put it in a scope, but it's not in that vernacular. I'm just using it in a way in which we can look at it. That you start off like Head Start, you know, then you go to elementary, you keep moving on to middle school, high school, then you in associate degree, you know, a bachelor's degree, doctor's degree, then you get to master's, and then when you go, bam, you're at Islam. The highest level of learning that you can get is of yourself. That's why it's the highest level of learning. So Islam, when the sister was saying that people are misrepresenting Islam, and with all of the violence that they're perpetrating and saying that it's because of Islam, then that's what she is speaking about. That Islam is you identifying yourself and become a greater you, not forcing somebody else to identify you and become a greater you. That's not the purpose of Islam. So with that comes all of our social duties, meaning that I have a responsibility to myself in society to become at one with myself. That's my responsibility to society, is to become a better me at all costs. So the better I become at being me, the more I fulfill my social duties. The more I become being somebody else, the further away from my social duties do I make it. The further away from my social duties do I become. So it is up to us to go out into society like we had a garden. We go out, we produce the food with the hopes that we will create a co-op, that this will go out and we will feed people. So our actions will be seen as something that's peaceful, and it's a part of society and helping society as a whole. So we have to go out and do these type of things so we can create that in other people. Also, when we speak about our society, we say, this community is all jacked up. man, this neighborhood is all jacked up. You're really saying that you all jacked up. You know what I'm saying? And you created a situation that's all jacked up. You got a society in which no one's willing to give you anything. I seen an old lady right in this corner right here, this stuff. I was with my sister, and we driving down, lady sitting at the light, old lady. We turned, people just rolled around her. She's standing outside, obviously a very elderly lady. They just riding around. We had to go down this way, you know, you have to go around and turn around to get over there, to get back to her. No one stopped. You know, so me and my sister got out and pushed her car over to the side over here out of the way so she can call somebody to help her out. But the point being is that that's the type of society that I want to be in, so I want to get out and push. I want to get out and inquire, is everything okay? You know, I want to give, when I come through the door, I see a cup where money is going in, I want to put my money in there, even if it's $1, even if it's a quarter, because I want to have a giving society. So when somebody come up and say, hey, I need in my society to be able to give. If you don't give, then you don't have a giving society because you don't give. If you have a society in which people are hateful and mean, it's because you're probably hateful and mean. So look around you and see what it is you want around you. If it's something that you don't want around you, then be the opposite of that.
And it will go away.
Islam?
Islam. It will definitely go away. He enjoyeth the ease and tranquility of his own breast, and rejoiceth in the happiness and prosperity of his neighbor. He opened not his ear unto slander, the faults and the failings of men, give a pain to his heart. That one right there, you know, I used to hear this a lot. I don't hear it so much now, probably because I'm just not in a circle where I hear it a whole lot. In fact, I can go back to, I remember when John Malvo, who was he was a DC sniper, is what he was known as. And the thing that everybody said is, I can't believe it was one of us. I thought it was going to be one of them. Or some other thing where it's like, I'm glad it wasn't one of us. I'm glad it was one of them. Now, where's the love in that? But you can hear things like that all the time. You hear things like, even when it comes to a renegade police officer who did something wrong, I'm glad it was one of them today. I'm not glad when anything bad happens to anybody, ever. Because then what are we giving society? Bad things that happen to people. That's what we're projecting out there, that, okay, we're okay with this. As long as it ain't me or my cousin, it's all good. It's never good. And that's what that verse says to me. We don't want to hear about the slander, failings of men. We don't want to know about it. We don't want to hear about it. I'm a member of many organizations, and that piece right there, not necessarily said exactly like that, is in the bylaws for all of those organizations too. It goes directly back to one of our acts. It goes directly back to the underpinnings of everything that we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to do, and how we're supposed to feel, and how we're supposed to project our feelings. What does your aura look like? Because that's the piece that's truly you. His desire is to do good, and he researcheth out the occasions thereof. And removing the oppression of another, he relieveth himself. Helping somebody else really does feel good. Sometimes you might be tired, but it really does feel good in the end. And we go to sleep afterwards. The helping other people out feels really good. And sometimes people won't ask because we live in a society, it's like Brother Blackshear Bay said, where it's not a giving society. And giving doesn't necessarily mean giving money. It means giving whatever gift you have to give. So if there's some knowledge, if there's some, I mean, I'm a nurse practitioner by trade. If you need somebody, I need to take somebody's blood pressure, I need to be able to give that and give it freely. Because I don't believe that any gift that I have came to me solely for me. Islam? From the largeness of his mind, he comprehendeth in his wishes the happiness of all men, and from the generosity of his heart, he endeavoreth to promote it. From the largeness of his mind, He comprehended in his wishes the happiness of all men, and from the generosity of his heart, he endeavoreth to promote it. At the 90th annual convention of the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Supreme Grand Sheikh, Brother D. Belial, challenged us to make sure that we have spirituality in the temple. Yes, nationality is very, very important. And anybody who becomes a member needs to claim their nationality. We also have to realize there are some unnationalized or denationalized Moors who don't know any better. But that are, and some who might know better but aren't ready because it's just easier not to do anything. But our charge is to spread the knowledge, fertilize the soil, as Brother Murray, they said, not get angry when what we put out there doesn't go the way that we want it to go on the day that we want it to go that way, because we've studied so hard, we worked so hard, we wanted to get that out there. It's not our job to get angry about it. It's our job to spread it and show it. It's our job to live it. It's our job to let other people see it. It's our job to comprehend that what we're supposed to do is wish that everybody were happy. We don't need to have that crabs in the barrel mentality, and there's a lot of that. You know, when I read from the prophet's literature where he talked about people being jealous. If any of us think that that is only jealousy of the prophet, then we got another thing coming. We might not think that we have a whole lot to offer, or that people would be jealous, or we don't give a reason, but it's out there, and we have to be aware of it, but we don't have to act on it. Keep being who we are. Islam. And doing what we do, and showing everybody else what that looks like. What it looks like to be happy, to be successful. What decides our success? Our happiness. Happiness isn't necessarily in things. However, a lot of people consider happiness to be things. The more of this I have, the bigger house, the bigger car. Now, then you just have a bigger bill. And I have yet to find a person that a bill made happy. Islam? Questions, comments? We got about, 35 more minutes.
Islam, run the show. It's all you today.
Now he the boss of me. I'm gonna have to read him one of those acts again, you know. But you know, and to tie those words back in, so courtesy. I said courtesy talks about politeness and having courtly manners. So the Moorish Science Temple of America is our court. If we are living in those 5 principles, those are the courtly manners. There's where the courtesy comes from. Politeness that's culturally defined. There is one thing that is polite that's not defined by culture. It should never be. Love crosses all cultural boundaries. And that's true politeness. The goal is to make everyone relaxed and comfortable. Prophet says, stop flashing your cards. It makes people uncomfortable. So you don't necessarily have to be like, I am this, so you need to do this. You don't have to come in anybody's card. All they have to do is see the truth. Let your light shine. Takes me back to one of the churches. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. And that's what we all need to do every day, all day. Let it shine in your sleep so that if somebody walks past your room, it's so much light of peace and calmness coming outside your door that they can't help but feel peaceful and calm too. Courtesies can be used to inflict shame. Politeness can be used to inflict shame. That just sounds so crazy. But for anybody who wasn't in here, the example was that you shame people a lot of times by telling them what they're not doing great. That's not very polite, and it's not very good etiquette. You don't shame someone into anything. The tongue can be swift, mean, awful, and killing. It can kill characters. I mean, you can call somebody, it can help you kill people. It can kill a person's id, ego, superego, to talk about some psychology terms, it can kill your emotions. The tongue can beat a person up so bad that they feel like they are not worth anything. And then they have what's called a crisis of faith. Because if you feel like you're not worth anything, then you don't believe that Allah created you or that your connection is there. And I mean, I don't know, there's some young people in this room that may have never experienced something like that. But I can say that I, for one, at some point have experienced something like that. But then if you pay attention and you say, okay, I know what this is, I know I'm having a moment, and you pray, then something will happen. And what happens is we usually forget to connect the two. We're having a moment, you prayed about it, you got the answer, but you didn't listen, so you miss it. That was the answer to the thing that you prayed about. That goes back to my, I prayed to God, I asked for some energy, the sun came out. That was the answer. What else could that be? Today's society is rough. Today's society is rough. We got things that exist that didn't exist before that are put in our face every day. Beware of distractions. One such distraction in social media just occurred the other day. They were going to turn off all of the electricity for the entire United States. I read it, didn't even cross my mind, didn't even make sense. Imagine how many things would actually go awry, not just for each one of us, but for everybody, including the people that we're accusing going to cut all the utilities off. Things like that just don't happen. And we don't have to be concerned about it, because I guarantee that if had something like that happen, we didn't always have electricity on this planet, and Allah always provided. So we don't need to be concerned about stuff like that. We don't need to be concerned about many things that we are. And once we stop, they'll stop existing, because it won't be any other way that it can go. Allah's way is the only way. It's rough when you're in the middle of it, and it's affecting you that day, or it's affecting a family member, a friend, or somebody that day. Then take a deep breath and think about it. You might have to push things down quite often. But when we think about it, it's only affecting somebody for a small moment of time. And only because we let it. Because this too shall pass. There was never a time when man was not, and there never will be a time when man is not. Islam?
Islam.
But everything else shall pass and fall. Comments? They're just gonna make you talk. I missed you.
Hey, I missed you too. We got Ali, other words on the board here. We got courtesy. Courtesy is something that you can have or you cannot have, right? And politeness is something, like the sister say, you can be or you cannot be. Islam is, I know you heard people saying he practicing Islam, or he's not practicing Islam. You know what I'm saying? Is he a practicing Muslim? What do you mean? Meaning, is he practicing Islam? Or is he a non-practicing Muslim? One that's not practicing Islam, you know? But when you get to this last one, and I hate to harp on it, there's no ifs, ands, and buts or anything. It's just social duty. That means that there's no practice and non-practice. It's something that's absolute. It's supposed to be done. What are the things that you're supposed to be doing? What are your duties? What are your duties? What are the things that you're supposed to be doing as a Muslim, as a Moorish American? What are your duties? You know, social. You know, like you have social duties that you have now. If your sister have a birthday party, your social duty is to be there, right? If your child is born, your social duty is to be happy. You're gonna be there and promote and try to help as much as you can. As an uncle, you have a niece, you have your social duty is to assist her. Somebody harass your sister, your social duty is to go beat them up. No, I'm just I'm just playing. But you do have a stern talking to. as a father, as a father, I have a social duty to provide a proper example for my children. Right? As a father or as a mother, you know what I'm saying, as a brother, as a sister, we have these examples that we set. Also, is the same as our social duty. We have an example that we must set. I can't change anyone's mind because the prophet said, we learn not. We learn not by being told. We learn not by being told. So how do we learn? By being shown. By being shown. We see it and we wonder why is that person doing that like that? And why is that person at peace like that while they're doing it? They don't say they peace and they don't. I'm still here arguing. So that is our social duty, is to represent the thing in which we want to be, which we want our society to be. So we have to be that person. We have to emulate our own self in our own deeds. Each individual has the responsibility to, if I'm with you and we riding around and say, hey, you know, let's go do this. It's my responsibility to say, oh, well, yeah, man, drop me on off. Right? That's my responsibility. Because I don't want to go do that. You know, right now we think our social duties is, I got to show up at the club. I got to be there. That's my social duty. My social duty is I got to represent correctly. I need 26s on there. That's my social duty, to make my hood look good. Make my hood look good. I got to make it right. You know what I'm saying? So these are not our social duties. We have social duties that are infused into our practice of Islam. It is in our practice of Islam. It is our practice of being ourselves. You know, it's not necessary for us to have all of these things. Don't get me wrong. You should strive for all the things that you want, but don't let those things identify you. If somebody is hungry, you should be able to sell the 26s so that they can eat. If you can't, you should have never bought them.
Islam.
Yeah. Islam?
Islam.
Islam.
I don't know if they're gonna sell these.
Islam.
Right.
I want to add on 2 things. When you brought up the EMP, how many people know that it was real? Anybody? The EMP, it actually happened.
Yeah.
No, the day that they said it was going to happen, it happened. Nobody. No. Speak up, brother. Go ahead. Correct. So my thing was when it was first brought up. Being the way that I am, I don't take anything for granted. So I, got on the internet, started looking, and then the information actually came to me. I never actually found it; it came to me, and then I read it, and then the one impression that it left me with was this. And I'll say this all the time, saying the prophet: if I could only get you to think, you would save yourself. And so then who I am, I go into that, what he said. And so I said, well, what is thinking? And that, for me, it takes me into what I eat. Because I have, this years ago, I was on a certain regimen. And literally in 30 days, I was supposed to be on for 30 days. The 30th day, I felt like Superman. Literally, I felt like Superman. I didn't go as far as trying to fly, but I felt like Superman. I really felt great. My brain, everything was just on 100. And so I liken it to that you are what you eat. So my point with that and the EMP is, one, the prophet told us we need to pay attention to what's going on, to what the times and everything. We need to pay attention. Take nothing for granted. But in order to interpret the information that's in front of us every day, because understand what I'm saying, whatever you want to call them, politicians, the powers that be, whatever you want to call them, I give them no more power than they actually have. They telling us what they're going to do every day.
Every day.
Through every outlet of media and news and whatever possible on your phone every day. Do you have the eyes to see it and the ears to hear it. Because they telling you every day what they gonna do to you.
Islam.
They telling us every day.
Every day.
So I want to be that person that, number one, hears and sees it, but is diligent enough to find out what is actually going on. And then, so that's with the EMP. And the other thing that I'm really adamant about in knowing who we are is culture. You know, a lot of the things that we're talking about is culture, and I'll make it very simple. How many in here right now, if I turned on some, I don't know, some Chinese music, gonna get up and get down? I mean, they gonna get busy. They gonna dance. One person, right? And they've identified who that person is. One person, they know. But most of us not. We have no cultural reference as to why that song is the jam. We have none, or why it's a significant song, or why you need to celebrate or whatever. It's no cultural significance to us. The things that we're talking about are things that are extremely old. They're extremely old, and so it's something that, you know, there's nothing new under the sun. We need to reintroduce ourselves to our culture, because then we have the proper perspective on what our social duties are, you know? What's wrong with 20 cents? But you get my point. You get my point. You know what I'm saying? If that's the cultural thing to do, and I'm going to accentuate my vehicle, that's cool, but make sure the community has that same ability to take care of itself as well. So, and what I was saying earlier, you know, always be in a position to share with somebody who they are. And that's right now where we are as a community, that's our culture. It's just sharing, talking about it. Like, I take the most strange things or the most obscure things and bring them into the Moorish paradigm and Moorish concept and explain to people from 8-year-olds to our elders if they don't know. Because, and I'll give you an example. I've seen my mom, who was going to a European Christian church about 2 years ago. And then when I started sharing with her the information that comes from specifically the Circle Sevens, she no longer goes to church. And we have discussions now. My whole family is, they're researchers, you know, they're educated people, so they want proof. And that's fine, because the proof is there. So that's just an example, because we're in here, and that's great. But mothers, fathers, uncles, grandmothers, they don't know yet, or they may not know, or they may be aware, but they don't know that we're here. So that's just the point I wanted to bring out and make that we got work.
Yes.
We got work.
Islam.
We got work. Who's in it for the work?
Islam. I'm here. I'm here. I got my sweatsuit on. But another thing, what I've always had to experience was, because so many people are set in that European state of mind, keep in mind that we allow them to educate us, our children, versus I coach football.
For the newer people, break down the European state of mind. Some might not really know.
What I mean by the European state of mind is some of our behaviors come from that.
Colonialization.
Being colonized. Because what's going on is you don't know your culture. You don't know your behavior is that of, I don't want to just say the word Paleo-European, but your mind is of that of the conqueror that landed on these shores in these Americas. So throughout history, you really don't know. How many of you before you came to this temple even knew what the word Moor meant, or that you were Asiatic? I had a small glimpse, but once I got in here, I got a little deeper. I had, when I got here, between my grand governor and the assistant supreme grand secretary, I kind of had the feeling, but I knew I was able to pull back off of them and started researching more as to my culture, history, the Moors in Spain. Okay. Nobody ever told me about the Moors here until I started reading the letters from Columbus, which you can go to any library. you know, from 1492 on back. And you'll see that you have been on this land. Once I got here in the Moorish Science Temple, when he said they settled northwest and southwest of Maxim, okay, this was all one at one time. Just because it split and broke apart due to a natural active phenomenon going on, it's still the same thing. Now, you got people running around here saying they're a U.S. citizen. What was the name of this land before they called it that? Because the United States is a corporation. And if you're a U.S. citizen, then you are a corporate slave. Now, a citizen of the United States of America, that's a whole different entity. As once said to me by Salih one day, I'm not a 14th Amendment citizen. I'm indigenous to this land. You were already here on this land. The problem being that coming through that slavery part, they taught you. We celebrate pagan holidays. Well, I'm sorry, not we, but they celebrate pagan holidays. They celebrate the 4th of July. This wasn't your Independence Day. This has nothing to do with you. Now, you need to find out what your forefathers and foremothers have done. What did they celebrate? So that's what I mean by the European state of mind. We're not a people that believe in robbing each other, gypping each other. That was taught to you. They spent billions of dollars in advertisement, like he said, billions in advertisement, showing you the wrong thing. So, not to hold up all the time, but knowledge yourself once again. You know, my people were my complexion, or what they call them, copper tone. They were Moors, Moabites, land of Canaan. See, they're not going to teach you that. They're not going to teach you about you. If they left you alone, they know you'd go back to resorting to who you was. So that's why we have to get in here and start teaching each other. That don't mean go out and hate them. We can't do that, or we'll be back in the same position. We're no better than them when we decide, well, I'm going to be a racist. Because remember, the blood of the Moors is in every race. So once we get ourselves together, we can get the whole planet together. But it's going to take that love and unity. Islam.
As we begin to grow in our knowledge of what the prophet has revealed to us in our Quran, one chapter you can look at is in chapter 48, and it's in chapter 4. It gives us a real key to what is being expressed. It says, in chapter 48, verse 4, the Moorish Science Temple of America is a lawfully chartered, incorporated organization. So the temple, the Moorish Science Temple of America, is incorporated in the United States. So we have to be clear so that we don't go down the wrong road. And it says incorporated organization. Any subordinate temple that desires to receive a charter, the prophet has them to issue to every state throughout what? The United States. So the temple is chartered in through the county, through the United States. The federal dollars come to the United States. The federal protection for the temple is through the United States. The protection of the United States of America is through the United States. They was given a contract, the first international contract that the United States received as a corporation was the Friendship and Peace Treaty between Morocco and them, which created the first international treaty. So that's what gave them that. But the part of that, in that treaty, their duty was the Navy, the Air Force, and the Army. The Marines is the only military that we have. So those came from the United States. And it's administrative ability, which is what you see now. It's administrative ability. So we have to be clear that through the temple, we are citizens, but we citizens with rights that are safeguarded through the treaty, which is safeguarded through the Constitution. So we will be able to abide, and our abode is in both without any fear. It says that we can stand unadulterated, you know what I'm saying, in our natural selves. So as long as we're in the temple, we're capable of riding that out. We don't want to have anybody under misbelief when they see this online that somehow they're going to be able to act outside of the rules and regulations that are stipulated in the United States. That's not going to happen. And you're not going to be able to do it in here. That's somewhere else you're doing it. Islam?
Islam. Islam.
Right.
So one more thing before we do our, let me not say public auction again, our public donation. I've been saying that all day, public auction. I don't know what I think I'm auctioning off. Up here I wrote the etymology of words. And I challenge you to see what the etymology of words means and to start using. There you can Google it and find it, and it's something called the etymology of words, where it tells you where a word originated, what the word actually meant at a given time. Because a lot of times we tend to do what's called microaggressions. Now we pay them attention when they happen to us, but we miss it when we do it. So for like different little things that we say, and I'm not going to give any examples, but different little things that we say that might not, it's just a term that you use, you throw it out there. It's the way that you do something. Google little pastime words that you use. Put them in there and see what they actually mean. Because they might be something that's derogatory towards somebody. Might be something that's derogatory towards yourself.
Islam. I was listening to something and I found out, and please research this because I haven't verified it. But they were saying that the phrase "okay" was the term that was used when they were beheading Moors. When they had the opportunity to either stay or more become a Morisco, they would say, "Oh, okay," or "okie dokie," and then they cut their head off. And that's why it's very important to understand the impact of the words that you use, because one thing the Grand Governor says and reminds us of is spelling. You know, there is magic taking place, and English is a very on purpose tricky language. So if you know the etymology of the word, you can begin to break some of these spells that are cast with the words that can use. You can put yourself in a spell by the own words that you use. So knowing when you can define it, then it no longer has power.
Saying things like I'm a slave to the system. What did you just do? Put yourself in slavery. I'm a slave to these bills. What did you just do? Yeah, we gotta pay them, but I'm not gonna be a slave to them. But a lot of people say things.
Well, that's called spelling.
Spelling, exactly.
Spellbinder.
And to take that another step further, there are things that think about it. In the English language, you can have a word, one spelling that is pronounced two different ways and means two different things. That's not by accident. Go back to the etymology of the word and when it first started, and see where you use it. See where it came from. See if it's actually something derogatory that we use every day. Little nursery rhymes and things like that. Right? The children's tales. Worst things ever. But we tell them. We share them. We sing things. You know, horrible, horrible things. Yeah, that's my challenge to everybody. Start looking at the etymology of words. That's going forward. I'm sure I have some more stuff to say about that in the near future. But it's interesting. It's an interesting concept. It'll make you stop saying some things that you actually say. Low-hanging fruit is an example. In the business world, that's used a lot. Well, the low-hanging fruit would have been the slaves that were hanging from the trees. The low-hanging fruit is the easiest to get. Sit often and in mixed company. And if you don't know what it means, you don't know what it means. Islam? Okay, well now if we can go ahead and take up that public donation.
Yes. Where's your phone?
You gotta have it where it is.
You lost it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Say throw it in there. Like saying in there, huh?
Islam, public donation, $51. Okay, now if you'll, we have a few more minutes, we can have a little bit more conversation. This has been good. I'm still smiling, I'm smiling all day.
We have new visitors here.
We do, and if the visitors want to say their names, you don't have to, don't feel obligated. Don't like that. You're not the only
Don't
one.
look at she's the one that pushes.
You're not the only one.
This is everybody's mama today.
Islam, and I have to say how she ended up coming here. Brother Grail and I were in the mall on our anniversary. And she had seen us walking past. On the way back out the door, she stopped and she said, "You're a Moor." And then we started having conversations, and so welcome.
It's my second time here. Here on Turner Bay. I was brought here by my brother.
You're not gonna do it. we have a couple more people here that are visitors.
It doesn't matter. Please stand up. Please stand up.
I'm Sydney. I don't really know what to say, but I've been here before. And this is my husband, Manuel. He was over here stand up. And our dad, son, has been running around terrorizing everybody.
And that's energy. We wish we had that much energy.
Right.
Right.
It's, well, once the sister is here a few more times, she'll be reading, and it's a verse in there that says there's no compulsion in this way of life. There's no compulsion, so you can say that to your dad.
The next time you get ready to vote.
In our way of life.
So now I'm the bad guy again. Every week I'm the bad Moor. I'm the Moor that's in my lower self. I'm the punishable Moor. Okay. Salih, okay. Okay.
Be used to it. I'm high.
It's
It's
not.
okay, I take either one of y'all boys anywhere with me. How about that?
But we love each other here. That's the biggest thing. Visitors, you know, we welcome with you open arms, and we probably spend more time trying to choke each other because we love each other. Not in a serious way, but I'll just come up and just grab him and put him in the chokehold and love him for a while. Because, you know, no matter what I've ever wanted or needed, this temple has been there. When they call and say, hey, we got to go out into the community. What are you doing? Are you coaching today? That's what I love about it. And our young people here. We've been trying and trying, you know, since the beginning, since we've been here, to get programs going.
They're about to get in trouble because they bothering Pop-Pop's baby.
So, I mean, the greatest thing is, through the brilliant minds we have here, we've been able to get stuff up and running. So, and I just want to thank y'all for making me a part of this and bringing me into this. You know, the garden and everything. And on that note, did we get those sweet potatoes up yet? Did we get those sweet potatoes up yet?
We need to.
We got to get them.
We need
Okay.
to. As soon as we got, my priority was to, as soon as this clear up, you know, I wanted to get it done because it rained too much.
Give me a call.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I'm off that day.
Yeah, so we need to
Sometime
get
this week,
yeah, we gotta be.
The greens too, 'cause-
cold in a minute.
It's
Yeah.
time, brothers.
I
Let's
got a couple of them out of
let's close out.
Oh, let's close out.
This conversation.
We enjoy doing it's Anybody need something? Ish, you don't go ahead and do this?
And face the east. 5 and 11, 2 on the right, you do not have to. Because there is no compulsion in this. Islam? Can you repeat after me? Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day. Through his holy prophet, Jurali. Amen. Please stay standing. I'll recite this one by myself. Allah, bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefathers' divine creed and principles. We ask this in thy holy name and the 7 Elohim. Amen.
Amen.
Islam? Okay, now y'all are free to talk about sweet potatoes.